Welcome back, everybody. Let's have a look at the aftermath and the effect of what happened last night on the market, and generally Bitcoin and XRP is all we're going to look at because they're the ones that I've been trading and they're the ones that we've been following for the last few weeks throughout this ride. So at the moment, what we've got here, when we're looking at XRP, is basically an massive indecisive move. It doesn't know which way it wants to go. It could recover, it could come back down. Either way, the big dump that we had was kind of expected, but it was really difficult one to play. I did put a short in really early, around about this level here. I had to ride it all the way up. My stop loss was supposed to be here. I saw the momentum gain, but I also saw the all the other indicators suggested this was way too high, and so I held on. I put my stop loss off at 34, which was basically the top of this wick here, just above the top of this just around this candle body here, which obviously was a massive risk, but it kind of paid off in the end. But that was a shakeout and a half. Both sides will have been hurt from that, and will probably get hurt now if anyone continues to trade on this. For the moment, looking at the state of that, it doesn't know which way it wants to go. The general sort of look of this chart suggests that it is going to continue bullish, but not from this moment onwards. Okay, so it's going to have to come back down, I believe, and maybe even test some of these even lower areas like 21. I know that sounds crazy, but it could do that. But for me personally, I don't want to get involved in this right now. I think the fun's been had on XRP for the moment, and there's no obvious setup for me on this. But long term, it's looking like it's going to continue. The only worrying thing is that Bitcoin also, this was a slightly easier trade to make, and a lot of pretty much the majority of XRP's move down, even though it was coming up to its own resistance. It was difficult to pinpoint it, especially with the momentum it had. But with Bitcoin, it was a little bit easier to guess that top. And where I entered was this this uptrend of support that's gone back in history for a long period of time. Support and resistance, this one here, and it's still being reasonably respected. So we've closed beneath there, which means that we're going to have to come back up to retest there. And given the fact that was such an enormous breakdown, I would expect it'll be probably going between this range here from 10,500, maybe up to the top of the here again, but I wouldn't hold your breath anytime soon. Well, what I'm doing now is we're going to keep an eye on the Bitcoin dominance, which again is very indecisive. It's basically got a bit of a spinning situation where you don't know which way it's going to go. Personally, what I think is going to happen, this isn't based on TA, this is just based on what it looks like to me. I think that alts will continue to have rallies as Bitcoin goes sideways within this trading range from between 10,500 to, we'll call this blue box territory, so up to 12,000, so 10,500 to 12,000. And that will be this technical trading range, and we might even find ourselves in a bit of a bull flag situation over the coming weeks, and that should allow alts, especially these top cap alts that have been doing so well, to gain momentum and carry on rallying. But there's a lot of other aspects that go into the situation right now. So obviously Bitcoin trades through the weekend. Bitcoin's correlated to the financial markets, so we got stocks, commodities like gold, oil, obviously a massive commodity that ties into major indices like the Forex, the FTSE, the DAX, the S&P. All of that is tied into oil prices, and all of Bitcoin is generally tied into those indices. So everything is very integrated, whether you like it or not. If for instance gold dropped, Bitcoin would drop. If indices dropped, I would expect a drop in Bitcoin. If oil dropped, I'd expect a drop across the board, including Bitcoin. So everything is speculative over the weekend. So in many ways it's kind of good because you can go on specific TA and you don't have to worry so much about the 9 to 5 markets that you get over the weekdays. But the second to that, it's often very unpredictable. Even though that we did have these levels and we made a nice short on it, it could have gone completely the other way, and in all fairness, it's not completely irresponsible, but it's a bit of a gamble trying to guess a top, which is kind of what I did yesterday, and it did keep me up quite a lot into the early hours of the morning, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all, and especially with XRP, that overshot massively from my areas, but I knew it was going to come down because it just had to. But I was getting very worried. I was losing quite a lot of potentially going to lose a lot of money there. So it worked out okay, but only just really. So the good thing about XRP is that actually the Satoshis are still up. So it's actually showing more strength than Bitcoin, despite what happened to it. So I do think that this will have continuation into next week to the up, just based on the Satoshis. And actually that also leads me on to believing that most alts will also, because even though Bitcoin dominance is neither here nor there at the moment, it's just given what I'm looking at with Ethereum and XRP, which are the two leading altcoins on the market with a huge, massive market cap. They will, if they push up, they will push that dominance up by default because they incorporate so much value to the altcoin market. So for the moment, I still think I'm just going to leave this alone. I'd like to see it come down a little further, maybe test that 10 simple, which is unbelievable really that that's where it came to. It actually came to that. I remember saying in my video that if it did dump, we will dump down into maybe the 10 simple, but come down further than that. The fact that we pretty much bounced on that on the daily is significant. It's the first opportunity for it to bounce as far as the moving averages that I consider valuable, and perhaps maybe we'll just keep riding this one up. But the RSI's taken a little dip, but it's still very high. Money flow index is extremely high, so for me it's not worthy buying or selling this at the moment. I'll wait for a more obvious trade. Whereas Bitcoin, to me, looks, even though it got bought back quite significantly, I think it wants to retest 10,500 again. As you can see with this, it's not as strong. It broke straight through that 10 simple, didn't care whatsoever about it, and actually just used the 10,500 area as support. So but it was bought back up quite quickly. But in all fairness, we closed beneath the trend. We smashed through the 10 simple. So Bitcoin showing itself to be weaker than XRP. So for those who are on the XRP bandwagon, there is still more movement to be had on this, I believe, in the short term. But as far as giving you any kind of insight into which way it's going to go these next few hours, or maybe even the next day or so, I couldn't really say. It could be up, it could be down. When you see a wick like this, which is almost even both sides, it would be a gamble. But if we do close here, even though it's red, we are closing within the in the resistance range, which could then be support. So that's one thing to bear in mind. But everything is very overextended and very high on this. So anyway, that's just a quick update for you. I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you are safe trading. I wish you all the best, and take it easy.